All right, CNT120, we're working on our DesignLab. We're working on part 2, where we are constructing our equipment list, or our cost sheet. So hopefully at the end of part 1 here, you roughly have your network map, ISP, firewall, router, switch, IP phones, workstations, that sort of thing. Once you have that done, we're now going to, I have rough model numbers in here now, but I'm actually going to go select my equipment. I'll put it in a spreadsheet, and while I'm doing that, I will update this with any model number changes that I might encounter as I'm doing this. So to do the next part here, we are going to create a cost sheet of our pieces of equipment, and I have help down here as you get to the bottom. There's help on selecting each piece of equipment. So I'll show you how to pick out the first 1 or 2, and you'll get the idea. You can finish the rest on your own, but in the process, I'll show you how to make your cost sheet for this. So first thing we'll do, I have my map. I'm going to leave that handy on my Google Drive here, back to my DesignLab Fall 17 folder. I'll do New, and I'm going to do Google Sheet, because I'm going to do a spreadsheet to put this information in. Up top here, where it's untitled, I'll give it a name of, CNT120 DesignLab Cost Sheet or something like that. And for me, I'm going to do Fall 17. And that should be, again, it should be saving, it should be creating it here for me. If I go DesignLab and Fall 17, I should eventually see this update for me. There it is. It takes a second for it to update, but there is my cost sheet in my Google Drive. I need a couple things on my cost sheet. So on the left, I'm going to put something like item, because I'm going to look for things like firewall. I'm going to look for things like router. I'm going to look for things like switch. I'm going to look for things like IP phone, that kind of deal. Okay. Over here, I'm going to put specific or description or model number or something, description of my device. That'll be, kind of specifics of it. I'll put model number here, because I do need a specific model number. I'll put, maybe the quantity. Actually, I'll do quantity. Then I'll do unit cost. And then I will do total cost over here. And then last but not least, I'll put a link or URL wherever I'm getting this information from. I'll highlight my top row up here, and I can do bold, and I can make this larger if I want to make it easier to see. And I can do the same thing on this column as well. I can do bold, and I can make this larger if that's going to help things, visual for you or whatever. I'm going to slide a column or 2 over so I have room to put information in. Let's start with our router. I'll at least do the router and switch with you. Those are some of the first things down here on your description on the bottom of your DesignLab. So let's go in, and I'm going to go right to the Cisco webpage. We're mainly picking on Cisco. They're one of the big manufacturers of networking gear. I always tell people it's not like I'm getting free shirts or kickback or anything like that. I'm just using a major manufacturer of gear. I'm not going to a website and picking something out at random. I'm going to come here and get a model number and take it to a website and get a price for. So on here, I'll go to the products page up top. In here, I will look for routers. It's going to show me all the routers on the planet, if you will. I scroll down through, they start showing you different categories of them. We are mainly looking for branches. You could think of this almost as a branch of a company, a branch office. So we're going to look for branch routers, but I don't see all the model numbers. So I'm going to scroll and say I want to see all model numbers. And in here, I can see under branch routers, I see a lot more choices now. These are kind of low end. These over here are kind of high end, so to speak. I usually try to maybe start in the middle and see if that is the right ballpark. So I'm going to pick on the 2900s. And again, I can do a compare all models. That usually is helpful. This is kind of like the same thing you do if you're picking on a PC. You say, I want to see all the model numbers. And what I would do in real life now is start looking through these and see which ones have the features of things I'm looking for. Routing protocols, features, processing, bandwidth, blah. Those kind of things that I would need to make this work for this facility. Well, if in doubt, I always kind of steer towards the middle, something like this, 2911, 2921, to get the job done. I could do a 2911. That'll probably be more than adequate for this facility. But again, in real life, I would do lots of reading. I might even go take these model numbers and look at review sites to know that I'm picking a good unit. What I can do now is I can come over here and say the router I'm going to pick is a Cisco 2911, and then I'll get more details as I go. So I will take my Cisco 2911, and I'll go to a place like CDW. Again, I don't get kickback from them. I don't get free t-shirts from them. They're just a large supplier of this gear, and they more than likely will have what I'm looking for. So I will do Cisco 2911 router. I'll just keep it simple and see what it has. I will probably get multiple results over here. Here's a Integrated Services 2011 rack mounting router. Here's another one. Here's another one. As I see, prices are changing. Well, as I look closer, I start seeing things like this guy has voice security bundle. This is able to handle voice processing for the IP phones. Awesome. That's what I'm actually looking for. Again, I would dig deeper to know what all kinds of things I'm looking for. Here's one down here that is just a voice bundle. It doesn't have the security part, which is fine, because we're going to plan on picking out a firewall later. So I could go with this guy, knowing that I'm in a pretty good ballpark. Again, in real life, I'd need to read more, etc., etc. So I'm now going to copy this guy here. This is the Cisco 2911 voice bundle router. So I will update this over here, and I will say this is the voice bundle router kind of deal. I will grab the real model number. Here it is. Here is the actual real model number for this guy. I will copy that guy. I will paste that in here. I would need that if I were shopping around. Oops, sorry. I forgot I needed the Control V thing over here. I would need that model number if I were actually shopping around for different places. We just need one, and I need a unit cost of this thing. Yeah, he's $22.67. So we'll round him up to $22.68 kind of thing. We'll say $22.68. And I want to indicate that these columns here are currency. So I'll highlight them, and on the top bar I should see something to indicate currency, and that's what I'm going to do. It'll format that as currency. I need to put a formula in here to say that this column equals this asterisk for multiply this. So I'm now going to say this cell times this cell will be this cell over here. Hit the enter key. Let me show you again. I'll highlight this cell and I'll say equal. Oops, equal. I'll click this cell and say whatever's in here, asterisk for times. Click on this cell, whatever's in here, it'll multiply those two for me. That way, if I change a quantity or if I change a price, that'll be updated for me. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to be smarter and harder. And I will click this little square and drag it down, and then I'll copy that formula for all the other line items I would have here. And last but not least, I will put in a link. I will probably use this link here and save this one so I know where I got the pricing and all that jazz from. And there is my first piece of equipment. I would continue that for the other ones. I think I have a couple minutes here. I'll show you how to do the switch. So I'll go back out here to products, and I will go to switches this time. And this time, I want to be looking for a work group switch, if you will. Now, those are pretty high end up there. These are LAN access switches. That is more like what we're looking for. If I look back at the beginning of my DesignLab, I see down here is access layer. That is the kind of switches we're looking for. We're looking for access layer switches. So I will look at that area to see if it has what I'm looking for. LAN access switches, again, high end, middle end, low end. Maybe I will choose something in here to see if it gets the job done. So maybe I'll actually kind of keep it simple maybe and go here and see if that has everything I'm looking for. There is a couple different options. Let me go up one model number. Let's try 2960 here. There we are. That looks a little bit better. And I'm going to, hopefully in here, find an option to compare my models again. I always want to do that. That'll usually give me some kind of chart to show me these model numbers, these ports, these, etc. Again, the same kind of thing you would do if you're picking out a PC. And I'm going to look for something 48 port. These are the uplinks to go to other pieces of equipment. That's good. And I'm going to look for power over Ethernet for the IP phones. And here would handle a handful of phones. This would handle a bunch more phones. So if I actually pick this one here, I know that I have 48 ports. I have plenty of ports. I have a couple uplinks, and I also have the power over Ethernet capability for this facility. So if I grab this model number right here, that is roughly what I'm looking for. So I'll come over here and say, this is a Cisco, what do we say here? This was a 2960, yes, this is a 2960 switch. So we'll say 2960 switch, and we'll even indicate it's a 48 port PoE, so I know. I'll put the model number here, because that's what I'm looking for. I need one of those. And I'll come back here to my CDW, and I will plug in this model number. And that should be the switch I'm looking for. There he is, 48 port gigabit switch. Oh yeah, not cheap, but has everything that I need. And this sucker is designed to run 24/7, 365 kind of thing for many, many years. So there is my switch. There's my model number. I already have that. There's my price, $45.34. So this will be $45.34. And then I will grab this price source here. Now we're up and rolling. I will continue that for my other pieces of equipment. When I'm done, I'll come down here and I will use a total column. So I'll use this little sum column, and I'll say I want to sum all of these things. Hit the enter key, and that'll give me a grand total of all my gear. That's the kind of thing I'm looking to do for all the pieces of equipment in my plan. The other thing I'll do is, as I start building this, I'll go back to my map and update this. 2911, yeah, that's what I picked. 2960, yeah, that's what I picked. Okay? And I'll actually come in here and say this is a PoE switch too, because I want to indicate that for my phones. That way I'll know that's there. So as I'm picking out my gear, I'll come back here and update the model number. So that way this is matching this. I want to try to get things lined up. So I will continue that till I have all the pieces of equipment. And really, if I just kind of work down through my map, there was my router, there's my switch. I'll do my firewall, I'll do my phones, and my access points, and then I'm done. So over here I could do, I'll put in access points so I don't forget to do that as well. So firewall, phone access points, and I'm done. I have all the equipment for my plan. When I'm done, I'll make sure it is saving. And what I can do is I can do an export. I can do an export, or I can do a download. When I'm done on this guy, I can do a download as a Microsoft Excel, and that's all I need for submission on this guy. So I can download this, save it, and then I will have this in my downloads folder. Here it is over here. Here's my downloads folder. There is my cost sheet, and I'll be able to submit that right to D2L. Okay, so this does not need anything fancy when it's done. I'll just download it as my Excel spreadsheet, and I can drop that right in D2L. So there is the second part of my DesignLab, doing the cost sheet for my DesignLab.